Let's get the coach's perspective on this Final Four showdown between Villanova and Kansas. We welcome in Fox College hoops analyst Steve Lavin. And, Coach, you went to a Final Four back when you were an assistant at UCLA. So how does one approach this week from a coaching perspective?
Well, I think most important is you try and keep your team as much as possible in the same routine or the same rhythm that you've had through the postseason. That's why you've been successful. So you want to replicate or duplicate as much as possible the same routines because teams, players are creatures of habit, and coaches are the same way. And it doesn't guarantee success, but you're more likely to have success if you can duplicate or replicate those routines. So in terms of when you're waking up, your pregame meals, your walkthroughs and school sessions in terms of video, scouting reports, going over the game planning. And you also have to be careful at this stage of the season to not overload or overcoach.
Coach, you've seen this reconfigured Big East in these last 5 years as a coach at St. John's, now with Fox Sports as a broadcaster. Why has Jay Wright been at the top of not only the league, but the country?
Well, I think Jay is a flexible thinker. And so while he has certain tenets, kind of building blocks or the fundamentals, the core values of how he's built his program at Villanova in terms of team play, fundamentals, defense, togetherness, those elements are in play. But year to year, he's shown a great propensity to adapt to his personnel, to adjust or modify what they do offensively and defensively based upon his particular group of players that he's working with.
And we're now joined by CBSSports.com's Matt Norlander to break down Villanova. And Matt, you wrote yesterday that this might be the best team in program history. Why do you say that?
Hey, it's great to be with you. I say it because this team's offense alone validates that claim. In fact, in the history of KenPom's database, which KenPom.com, which measures all sorts of modern metrics and tempo-free metrics, right now Villanova is the best offense overall, and it's actually the second best offense since 2001-2002. The only offense that was better was the Wisconsin offense that got to the Final Four a few years back. And when you look at how well balanced Villanova is, and you consider the fact that a lot of the players that were on that national championship winning team from 2016 are on this team as well. And oh, by the way, the team that won that title was a 2 seed versus this team, which is a 1 seed. I think that this team has all the pieces there is good enough on defense to lay validity to that claim. But I understand that from a mainstream, widespread perspective, if Villanova is to lose against Kansas on Saturday, then the 2016 team will be remembered as a greater team than this one. And I totally get that, and I think that's totally fair. But if we're really going to look at the scope of an entire season, I think right now this team has a solid case for it. Obviously, the intriguing thing about this, if you really want to continue to weigh one against the other, is this year's team did not win the Big East regular season title, whereas the 2016 team did. But guess what? The 2016 team did not win the Big East tournament title. This team did. So there is some pros and cons with each one. Either way, they're obviously two fantastic squads, and I can't wait to see the Wildcats go up against the Jayhawks on Saturday night.
The best in the Big East, the best in the Big 12. Villanova and Kansas. They both do so much well. What's the deciding factor in this showdown?
I think the deciding factor in this game is going to be the ability for Omari Spellman to get Azubuike away from the basket and into foul difficulty, because he is a rim protector that causes all kinds of havoc. He was an issue, no doubt about it. He was an issue in that game. If you look back at Bagley's numbers against Duke, he didn't get many looks at the goal. I mean, there weren't many shots taken by the best player on the floor, Marvin Bagley. I think part of the reason was Azubuike's presence. Now, He left the game, and he did ultimately foul out, which did not surprise me because of the nature of having to deal with those multiple bigs. And, Duke's got 3 of them that he had to deal with. But I think Spellman's play, John, is vital in this game, that he not only make a few shots from, the wing. He loves that wing three. He makes a few of those and then can put the ball on the deck and drive to the basket. Get Azubuike away from the hoop. That's really going to help him. De Sosa is obviously a strong player. We know what Newman can do from three. But Villanova's got more answers in terms of offensive weaponry, and everybody's going to be talking about Brunson, obviously, and the Kansas guard. That's going to be the theme going into the game all week long. That's what you're going to hear. But I think ultimately it's going to come down to the impact Spellman has on Azubuike, because he is absolutely a dominant rim protector. And I think Spellman's gotten better at that. He had a few swats himself, over the weekend in the game that was so important, really, against Texas Tech. He needed to make a few of those. But I think Omari is going to be the key in this game with that matchup with Azubuike.